the portrait, and the past. The rain had stopped by the time the trio stepped out of the archives, but the air was heavy with mist. Virelia glistened, streets slick with reflections of lantern light. Ethan walked in silence, his mind still tangled around the name Roland Gray. Carter kicked a pebble down the cobblestone path, whistling tunelessly. "So, big mysterious portrait guy, huh? I like him already. He's got the face of a man who'd definitely leave cryptic notes on expensive paper." Naomi gave him a side eye. "You like anyone who looks like trouble?" "Correction," Carter said, grinning. "I am trouble. I just appreciate the competition." Naomi groaned. "Remind me why we let him come with us again?" Ethan barely heard them. He was replaying the faint smile on Roland's painted face, the same calm certainty his mother used to talk about when she described the man who had saved her business. She'd always said he appeared out of nowhere, offered a grant with no strings attached, then vanished before she could even thank him. What if this wasn't coincidence? What if whoever helped her, whoever was helping him now, had ties to something far deeper than charity? Naomi nudged him. "You're doing that staring into the void thing again." Ethan blinked. "Sorry. Just thinking." "About the portrait?" He nodded. "The man looked familiar somehow. I think Mom mentioned him once. She said he was the kind of person who appeared when people needed hope most." Carter clasped his hands dramatically. "So, a fairy godfather with a trust fund?" Naomi smacked him lightly. "Focus, genius." But Carter wasn't done. "Hey, what if he's, still around? Maybe he's a secret immortal, a vampire philanthropist with excellent cheekbones." Naomi rolled her eyes. "You read too many conspiracy comics." Ethan chuckled softly despite himself. "It's impossible. The archive said he lived over a century ago." "Which," Carter said, wagging a finger, "only strengthens my theory." They turned a corner and stepped into Trinity Square, the heart of old Virelia. Street performers were packing up for the night, their laughter fading into the drizzle. A woman sold roasted chestnuts from a cart, the scent curling through the air. Naomi grabbed 3 cones and tossed coins to the vendor before Carter could protest. "Eat," she said, handing one to each of them. "You overthink better on a full stomach." Ethan smiled faintly. "That's actually true." "Of course it is," Naomi said proudly. "I read it somewhere, probably on a snack wrapper." Carter bit into a chestnut and winced. "Ow, hot! I think my tongue is melting. Ethan, paint my suffering." Naomi snorted. "You'd sell that painting yourself and call it Martyrdom of the Idiot." They laughed, the tension easing for a moment. But when they reached the fountain at the square's center, Ethan froze. Someone was standing there. A man in a dark coat, back turned, posture too still to be casual. Naomi noticed instantly. "You know him?" Ethan shook his head slowly. "No, I don't think so." The man turned slightly, just enough for the lamplight to brush his face. He was older, maybe in his 50s, but his eyes were sharp, and in that fleeting moment, Ethan swore they flickered gold. Before he could speak, a gust of wind tore through the square. The man stepped back into shadow and was gone. Carter blinked. "Okay, not to be dramatic, but that was definitely a ghost." Naomi's voice was calm, but her hand rested near her satchel, an instinctive readiness Ethan had only seen when she was uneasy. "No ghost leaves footprints." Ethan looked down. Faint wet marks trailed from the fountain toward the alley behind them. Without thinking, he followed. The alley was narrow and quiet, the kind of silence that pressed against the ears. Puddles shimmered with lamplight, reflecting the curve of his face as he walked deeper in. Naomi called softly, "Ethan, slow down." He didn't answer. Something pulled him forward, an ache in his chest he couldn't name. Then he saw it, another envelope, sitting atop a crate, the same wax seal as before. Ethan's pulse spiked. It's him. It has to be. Naomi's eyes darted around. No one's here. Carter leaned over Ethan's shoulder. What's it say this time? Congratulations, you're now haunted by art? Ethan tore it open, the paper damp from rain. His throat tightened as he read aloud. The one who gave before gives again. The thread remains unbroken. Carter blinked. Okay, that's... wow. Vague. 10 out of 10 for dramatic flair, though. Naomi frowned. The one who gave before... that's gotta mean your mom's benefactor. Ethan nodded, his voice low. Whoever they are, they know her. They knew me before I ever started painting. Carter whistled softly. You sure you're not secretly adopted into a royal family or something? Because this is getting very hidden legacy real fast. Naomi ignored him. This isn't random, Ethan. Someone's been watching your family for years. The thought made his stomach twist. He folded the note carefully and slipped it into his coat pocket, as if it might vanish if he looked away too long. They walked back in silence, rain beginning to fall again, softer this time. Virelia glowed gold under the lamps, every droplet shimmering like melted stars. At the studio door, Carter yawned. If our mystery sponsor wants to send more letters, I vote they do it during daylight hours, or, include snacks next time. Naomi chuckled, unlocking the door. You'd read a death threat if it came with pastries. Depends on the pastries, Carter said seriously. Some are worth dying for. Ethan smiled faintly, though his thoughts were miles away. As he stepped inside, he glanced at his canvas. The colors seemed to move differently now, alive under the flickering light. He whispered under his breath, "The one who gave before gives again." Somewhere deep inside, something clicked. A memory, a name, a feeling. But before he could grasp it, it slipped away like the rain down the window.